Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me for Tea Time with Mel. My name is Mel Perry. I am a military lifestyle mentor, which means I offer inspiration and information to my fellow Canadian military wives and anybody who relates to me. We talk about all things to do with mindfulness, parenting, being a woman, and the military wife life. We have just launched season 1 of the Dandelion Life Military Lifestyle Mentorship Program. We're off to a great start. If you're interested in more information about that and would like to stay in the loop about season 2, which will be in January 2020, you can head over to my website, which is thisdandelionlife.com, and just click the Work with Mel tab and add yourself to the list. Season 2 is going to be even better than season 1, which I cannot even wrap my mind around because we're already off to such an amazing start. Today on Tea Time with Mel, we're talking about mom guilt. Holy moly, it's a heavy topic. It's a biggie. It's a biggie because I know it's something that many of us, whether you're mom or a dad, I'm just saying mom because I'm a mom, have really struggled with. And it is so surprising. Sometimes we see it coming and sometimes we don't. So here's some times I have felt guilty. And some of them sound really stupid when I say them out loud, but I just want to validate that your feelings of guilt are like normal. Okay, so some of the bigger ones are when I had my first child, he was born on the 28th of the month, and every month on the 28th, I would feel horribly sad and guilty that I had now one less month with him before going back to work as a teacher. I felt obligated to go back to work because I was early in my career and it was, I was wanting to keep going. And financially, it was the best decision for our family, but I didn't want to put him in daycare. I wanted to stay home with him. And so every single month, when the 28th, when it would occur to me like, oh, it's the 28th, I would maybe go from feeling totally fine and happy to feeling really sad and upset and guilty. And then when the time came to go back to work and I took him to daycare, I felt guilty all over again because he cried, and I remember dropping him off many mornings, and he would cry, and I would leave him with the lady who was amazing, and I would drive 4 houses down and pull over, and I would be crying so hard I couldn't see the road. And then I had to wipe my tears, reapply my mascara, and head on over to the school and teach kindergarten and teach other people's babies for the day. It was a very difficult time. I felt really guilty when I got pregnant with baby number 2, especially close to the end of that pregnancy with Rylan, because I felt like I was ruining Lucas's life. It had been almost 4 years as a single only child, that he had all of our time, all of our energy, all of the resources that we had to share with him were his and his alone. And I felt like we were ruining everything by having a second baby. And I felt guilty for the baby because I thought I could never love you as much as I love your brother. It's just not possible. Of course, that's not how it works. I love them both a lot, obviously. And if I could have had a crystal ball to know what the future looked like and to know how much and how hard they would love each other and how close they would be despite the 4-year age gap, which people also made me feel guilty about, that I wasn't having them closer together, then I never would have felt so guilty. But I didn't know that, and I really, really did. I have felt guilty going back to work and teaching full-time or working full-time outside the home because the kids are in daycare, they're up early, we're not with them any hours of the day. And then I have felt guilty when I'm not working outside of the home because I'm not earning as much money and helping the house in that respect as I could be. I have felt bad about moving a lot, which is totally beyond my control as a military wife, but people like to point it out anyways. And I have felt bad, if we don't live close to this club or that opportunity. I have felt guilty that they have too much screen time, and then I have felt guilty when I restrict their screen time because they don't know the games and apps and YouTube channels that their friends are talking about. And finally, last but not least, I feel guilty that my kids don't eat enough fruit. So there it is. There is a very small picture of what mom guilt looks like to me. Now, I am doing a lot better in this respect, and while guilt still rears its ugly head sometimes, it's a lot less than it used to, and I want to share with you how I got from that place to this place. The first was I became really aware of the fact that I was comparing myself to an artificial standard that I had created of what good moms do, what they look like, what they act like, and the types of things that they do with their kids. And sometimes I would compare myself really unknowingly, I didn't realize that I was doing it. But for example, I would see a picture on Facebook of a friend baking with her kids, and I would think to myself, oh, I really should bake with the kids. Good moms bake with the kids. That's what I should be doing. Then I'd see another mom and they would be, painting together. Oh, I should paint with the kids more. Yeah, they'd like that. I should do that. And so on and so on and so on. And it just goes on and on and on, that we don't know what actually happened in that picture that we see on social media. We catch a still, literally a snapshot. And very seldom does mom pick up her iPhone and put it on selfie when there is flour all over the floor and her kid is eating raw eggs and she's crying so hard her mascara is running down her cheeks. That's not the time she takes a selfie, even though it may have happened 1 second after the picture was taken. So we just do it all the time. And then we get, people reshare things like that classic meme that like makes me eye roll every time. The laundry can wait. Your children are only young ones. Spend time with them now. You're like, okay, great. And now what are we going to do when we all run out of underwear? Someone has to do the friggin' laundry, people. You can't just leave it there forever to spend like an infinite amount of quality time with your kids. It doesn't work like that. And even if it's not chores, even if it's just you want to have a tea while it's still hot and read a book. I'm assuming your kids are not like infants, because that's a whole other story and has its own challenges for sure. Although you get naps, so there is that. But, it's okay to set some boundaries and to say, yes, I would love to color with you. I'm actually just drinking my tea and reading my book right now, and then give them a time when they can expect that you're going to be free. When the big hand hits the 9, when my timer goes, when I'm done my chapter, when my mug is empty, I will play with you and we can do whatever you want for 15 minutes before I get back to my book because I'm really enjoying it. That's okay. Spend quality time with your kids. It doesn't have to be about quantity every spare second, spending time with them. So when I stopped shoulding myself, that sounds like something else. When I stopped comparing myself, what I should and shouldn't be doing, that alleviated a lot of the burden. When I recognized that there were certain people, certain groups, certain organizations and businesses that were sending out a lot of content on social media that got under my skin and made me feel bad, I got rid of them. I unfollowed a lot of people who, there was a time when I actually felt guilty to myself. I felt bad for myself that we didn't have a third child. And I kept following all these like breastfeeding advocacy, doulas, midwives, baby wearing groups. And I would be thinking about something else entirely until one of them came across my feed, and then I'd feel bad all over again. So I cut them out. Cut them out, people. I'm challenging you to figure out, what is it that triggers the guilt in you? What is it that makes you feel bad? Is it a person? Is it an organization? Is it well-meaning but poorly executed Aunt Sharon who shares these memes with you all the time? Then unfollow them. Don't spend time with people who don't bring you joy. Of course, I'm not talking about people in your family who you ought to, I guess. No, that's just a fancy word for should. I'm talking about people that you are not required to spend time with. Then don't. If they're not making you feel good, and in fact they're making you feel guilty and they're making you feel bad, then cut them out. Because the guilt pops up, especially when it's social media, and it's not even if I'm actively on my social media, it's that it gets into your brain. It's like it takes over in there, and now you can't unlearn, you can't unsee it, you can't unfeel that guilt. So every time you're in a similar situation, the laundry can wait, you're folding laundry, you're gonna feel bad. The laundry needs to be folded, Judy. It's okay. It's okay if your kids are on the iPad sometimes. This seems to be like the hot button topic, is like screen time. And yes, there's a time for boundaries. Of course, I am not suggesting that you throw a tablet at your kid every second of the day. I'm saying that sometimes it's okay. We need to recognize that and give ourselves some grace and some compassion. And I just want to let you know that if you suffer from mom guilt, that you're not alone. But most of the time, it's just something that we're doing to ourselves. And if we can figure out how we're doing it to ourselves, and we can figure out who to get rid of, how to shift our mindset so that we don't feel so damn guilty all the time, it's really going to help. We talk about all of this and more inside my program, the Dandelion Life program. So please be sure to head over to my website, thisdandelionlife.com, and click the Work with Mel tab. Add yourself to the list for season 2. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find me all over the interwebs at This Dandelion Life. You can email me at melperrythementor@gmail.com. Be sure to follow me. I post great content like this all the time. Thank you so much and have a fantastic day. Cheers.